Thank you, everyone. We get started with the proposal. I'm sure as many of you saw the sign down there over by Caruso's Pizza, future home of the Canyon Country Community Center. So let me give you guys a little bit of background. Then we're going to show you a conceptual plan. Then we'll go over it. I'll fill in some more details, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys have at that time. Okay, so the lot size is approximately 6.5 acres. It might expand in the future a little bit more. I'll get a little bit more detail on that when we get closer towards the map. But let me give you some background though. The city conducted approximately 4 public outreach meetings, of which one included actually walking the site and taking a look around just to get a better grasp of everything. In April of 2016, the Parks and Recs Commission approved the conceptual master plan, which was then approved by the council in June of 2016. In December, the city awarded design contracts, so presently they're working on the preliminary plans, and the goal is to have those done, the designs completed by June of this year, and to do some additional public outreach meetings for finalization. I don't know how many of you have read the Santa Clarita 2020 plan, but if you've read it, you can see that the community center is part of that plan. So the goal is to have it open by 2020, which probably means they're probably looking at somehow starting building sometime next year. But I'm moving a little bit ahead. But I want to say during the 4 public outreach meetings, I don't know if any of you guys have ever been part of this. They give you the little dots and ask you to work as a team and determine what if you can only have one thing, what would it be, and so forth. So these are kind of like some of the top things that were requested. Gymnasium, computer technology, arts and crafts, community and fitness rooms, an open turf play area, flexible outdoor space for events, play area, walkways, and landscaping, and a teaching kitchen. Go on to the next thing. Presently, right now, the city is also in negotiations with the county to try to acquire a little sliver of land, which would be on the west-south portion, which I will show you on the map once we get there. And that would add some additional things. But that being said, the city's also looked at designs, assuming that they cannot get the county land. But when I left the commission, it seemed that negotiations were going very well, and the city anticipated acquiring that land from the county. Also, the city has reached out to 2 different property owners. You guys know where Caruso's is at, the little shopping center. Okay, let's just put it this way: property owner is here, the city is here. So the chances, I think, of them acquiring the space for the immediate future are probably slim to none. Whereas that one corner lot with the tattoo parlor and several auto store, the property owner seems to be very inclined and definitely willing to sell that property to the city. So the city's incorporated that area into the community center area. And that's it. So let's, can we go to the map? Okay, you guys have a laser pointer I can borrow? Or? Huh? I didn't bring one. The laser pointer. I didn't see one up there. Wait, nope. I just got the PowerPoint. All right. Oh, here it is.
That clicker has a pointer.
Oh, well, let's go with this. I don't normally do this sort of stuff. So you guys are all part of the experiment here. So, anyways. Okay, so down here, where you guys can see that, that's presently where the tattoo parlor and the auto repair area is. The city would take a sliver of the piece of property right there and make that a dedicated right-hand turn lane. And that little part right there would be kind of like an island for the crosswalk for the intersection. One of the things that I asked for when I was on the commission is to have some sort of lighted area right there when pedestrians are going to utilize it. Is we all know that's a heavily area used by a lot of folks for the bus stop and everything. And my concern is someone's just going to just do a right turn and, we're going to have a vehicle versus pedestrian accident. The area that the county owns presently right now that the city wants is this sliver of land right down here, and it butts up against this area here, roughly. So the city is looking at incorporating that into their design, and I'm fairly confident that they will acquire that and include that in that area as well. The area where Caruso's is at, presently right here, is right over here. So this design assumes that they have the space for it, but if the city is unable to acquire the space, this area just would be a shopping center, and then the layout would basically be like some sort of boundary right here, then going around back here. In addition to mind you, this is all conceptual. It hasn't definitely been finalized and everything, so this is like, give us your hopes and your dreams and let's put them down on paper type of situation. Their city was also looking at possibly doing an entrance here off of Dolan Way, which is Pico Trattoria, the restaurant that everyone loves to go to. So that's another little desired area as well. As you can see, this would be a tot lot, basketball court, a potential amphitheater area, an events area, open play area. With what we were talking about at the commission and what the city was also visualizing too, as well too, is this area over here, if acquired, would kind of be a mercado where you would have potentially a farmer's market, food trucks for events and get-togethers. In addition to one of the things that we talked about is one of the desires of the community as a whole is community gardens. So we were talking about how they might be able to put planters here and people might be able to create their own community garden, because one of the goals with the city now is to have a community garden in every community. Presently, right now, there's one at Central Park for Valencia, and then COC also has community gardens at the Valencia campus as well. So that's kind of basically it. This would be the proposed community center. Actually, it's about 25 to 30,000 feet. We saw a conceptual design of it. I asked for a copy of it, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it for you in time. So I'm going to go off memory here. So please forgive me if things aren't exactly here. But basically, this area right here would be the basketball court. This area would be the entrance. There would be one large room that can then be would have those tractable walls, which you could create to 4 different rooms. Down here would be the kitchen, and then there would be a computer room and a fitness area as well down here, and then another area for staff. Also, one of the proposed designs talked about over in this area is moving the amphitheater from here to here. So the idea you'd be able to set up everything here, then have a concert out here, and some of the stuff would be moved that way. I'm always, I don't know if any of you guys have been to the Newhall Community Center. There's the large room where there's a basketball court, but no one, if you notice, no one plays basketball there. And I think the last time Al and I were there in October, they even removed the basketball backboards. So one of the things that Commissioner Boone noticed was the same thing that I did, and that's why she requested outdoor basketball courts. So that being said, I think this is kind of I would like to see this space, instead of just being like a dedicated basketball court, maybe be a little bit more multi-use or something, because the chances of this being actually used for kids playing basketball, I think, are very minimal. And that's really about it. They're talking about some walkways, some streams. They've also asked city staff and everyone to also maybe look at doing some sort of outdoor exercise equipment similar to the center and the activity center up at the top. And that's really about it. And then just really quickly, you'd have Topper's Pizza right here. You'd have Casa Vieja right here. And you can see they would all be sharing parking space as well here too. And that's really it in a nutshell. And, regardless how you feel, there's going to be some public outreach meetings. I would encourage all of you to either attend or send a letter or an email indicating your desires, your pros or cons about something. I definitely know the commission loves to get input. We'll definitely, when I was on the commission, we would definitely incorporate it, into forwarding things on. And that's really about it. So with that, if any of you guys have any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Yes. What would be the soonest that you could begin building? Is there what's the main holdup right now that would hold you back?
Well, the contract was just awarded in December for designs, so they're doing some toxicology, geology, and a couple of other studies right now. And I think the idea is to have the plan finalized by June. And then also, too, the city has not budgeted the funds to actually build this. So probably May, maybe, when they have the next budget study session, we'll see how far along they come, because if they do budget the fees for it, I mean the funds for it, they will definitely, start fast forwarding, because I know we're focused here on Canyon Country, but Old Orchard Park on Lines Avenue was master planned, going off memory, 15, 16 months ago. Beautiful park, beautifully designed, gung-ho, loved going to all the meetings. And there's the public. It's master plan, ready to go, but the city has not budgeted the funds for it for construction. So, but like I said, this is part of the 2020 plan. But we'll see. But I think in June we'll have a better estimate and time frame as to whether or not they're going to be going forward. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm sure you said, but how big is the building facility?
Going off memory here, I think they were looking at 25 to 30,000 square feet. Yes.
The amphitheater, is it going to be, how big is it? What's the seating capacity?
They're not going to be assigned seating, as you can see. It's just going to basically just be a little theater and a stage area just with a grass area, so you'd probably have to bring a chair or a blanket or something.
Oh, they're not going to have seating?
No, this just would all be just grass. So this would be your amphitheater and then outdoor stage event, and then this would be grass. So yeah, there's not going to be any concrete benches or anything. No, we have 3 circles here, but no. Huh? No, they're looking at having concerts and so forth. What I'm hopeful is that presently right now with the current community center, it's 5,000 square feet. They do big band dances and other events there. I don't think it gets a lot of publicity, but I think staff has done a wonderful job there. And I'm hoping, coming back to what Al mentioned at the beginning of the program when he showed all the events planned for Old Town New Hall, that if and when this gets built, I can definitely see more concerts, more events going on, maybe, because presently right now all we have is the Summer Bash over off Ruther Avenue over by Edwards Movie Theater, and every year, 5,000-10,000 people show up. And one of the things that when I was on the commission that I advocated for was to have a Winter Bash holiday event out here. And, it's when you're in the room with the commissioners and council members, you kind of feel like you're playing poker. He's like, yeah, I think this would be a great idea. Wonderful event, a great turnout. And they go, okay. But then, no one's making a motion to fund it. So I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic that if this happens, this will be the foundation to start having more events in Canyon Country.
Well, there don't seem to be really any events. There don't seem to be really any events for adults. I mean, everything is very child-oriented here. And even the guy, when he said, they're building all these big housing projects, and he goes, we have beautiful shopping areas. There's not one high-end department store out here. Most of the restaurants are chains, and there's nothing really special out here. There are no concerts. I mean, you would have to solicit promoters to get people to come out here.
Well, you have the new music venue going in where the Red Robin used to be at the mall. You do get folks over at the PAC. I mean, several years ago, Anthony Bourdain came out and did a book signing tour. Like I said, Canyon Country, the current community center has done big band dances there on several different times, but unfortunately, it doesn't get a lot of promotion. And it really doesn't got. You really have to go look for it, or basically go to the city's website and look on the Canyon Country Community Center calendar and stuff.
Well, what can they do to kind of, let more people know about what's going on, other than the people in Valencia or maybe Newhall or people who are tied in with schools or something. The only thing I see is the Cowboy Festival
Right.
and this cowboy football thing or whatever. You know,
Yeah,
where you see
I mean-
signs everywhere.
I mean, the way I find out most of most of the stuff is Twitter. Twitter's like the new social media, and the city definitely tweets out a ton of events and things that are definitely going on. So that's one way to follow them. But it's another thing to bring up, that they should do a better job of advertising. And like you said, depending on some of the events, it gets a lot more advertising than others. Yeah.
How many here just randomly are on Twitter? Thank you.
So I'm not on Instagram, so there we go. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Yeah, is there a drop dead date to try to acquire that property that Caruso's is on? Because if they don't acquire that, it's going to change that whole plan, or whatever plan they do come up with.
No, there is no drop date there. The city is more than willing to go forward without the property here. So basically, you would lose this little Mercado area if they don't acquire the property. So this whole stretch right here just wouldn't be included in the plan, and I got to imagine the city would probably put up some sort of landscaping or something to kind of cover it up. But then ultimately, I'm sure it's going to be very flexible, because in the future, if they do decide, then the city will probably be able to go forward and go ahead and move forward with their plans about what they want to do. So although the city's being kind of, well, maybe both parties could be rigid in the negotiations right now, the city's keeping their plan pretty flexible. Because as you can see, there's no like main amenities that are going in right here or proposed for right here. Everything else is, the amphitheater's here, the tot lot's over here, parking's over here, community center's over here. So, the city's definitely, I think, thinking long-term, hopefully, that they will acquire it, and at some point they'll be able to add that in, so. And, I think if they don't acquire this, I'm sure the city would probably find a way to do a farmer's market, maybe around this area or even in this area as well, too. I think the only thing you might have to set aside would be a food truck event, maybe, or they might be able to work that in somehow, so. But yeah, they're more than willing to go forward if they don't acquire the property, and they will go forward, so. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
To me, a community center is for children, kids, and adults too.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, because I never have understood the definition really of the community center. During the day, is there some adult doing something there?
There are events going on there during the day, absolutely. I don't have the calendar and the schedule in front of me, but if you go to the city's website, and unfortunately, I think a lot of us agree, it's not the most friendliest and easiest one to navigate. If you look for the Canyon Country Community Center, you'll get a schedule of events that go on. They do a lot of events there, and a lot of activities for all age groups.
I'm going to tell you, I hate computer because we don't have information with a computer, and the city should be more friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Instead that to always use a website for everything.
Right. Well, if you do go by the community center, you can stop in and pick up they have copies and on paper, calendars of events and everything. So you can always stop by there and get some handouts. I believe it's Glenna is the person who runs the community center, and she has to be one of the nicest persons in the world. And every time I could try to get her a raise, I did ask for one. So, and that's it. It's right down there off of Flying Tiger Drive and Sierra Highway, in that little shopping center basically across from Chi-Chi's Pizza and Dunkin' Donuts. So right next to, kind of like, it's right across the street from that abandoned car wash that's no longer functioning. Or so, that's it. Okay, yeah. So, all right. All right, well, thank you guys. Take care.